Hello and welcome to the show. This is Everything Under the Sun. My name is Ty. I hope all of you are doing amazing out there and taking care of yourselves and those that you love as much as possible. I was kind of just thinking about the last episode, and as I kind of speak about these topics, there's so many things that we're all doing. We're all doing this work, and as I speak about these things, these aren't things that I'm omitting myself from. These are practices that we all do. These are things that we all do to progress ourselves in our lives in whatever direction we feel that we desire for ourselves. And moving towards that desire can be something so difficult so many times, and that's really what this is all about, like finding our truth and moving towards that and feeling okay to move towards that, identifying the situations in which bring us closer to that, the feelings that bring us closer to that, and removing those doubts and insecurities and judgments and things that are blocking us from our happiness. That's what this is all about, and this is the work that we all do, and it's constantly happening. No matter where we go in life, no matter the elevations or the happiness that we reach in our lives, there's always going to be more, and whether that's in the form of more understanding or more realizations of what you truly want to do in this life or in any life or whatever that may be for you. And it's just something that I wanted to kind of reiterate, and I know that I've said that before about just me doing this work as well, but that's something that's just so important because we're all in this together, and without each other we wouldn't be able to do any of it. And it's so important that we always remember that. And as I was kind of reflecting on last week's episode, which was integration and just how to incorporate these things, these new understandings, these new truths, and these new strengths that we have to move forward in our lives. How do we incorporate those into our lives? And something I was kind of thinking about is this idea of backtracking and just what that really means, and how so many people feel as though there's this backtracking that happens, like you move forward and it seems like you take one step forward and two steps back, or you feel as though you've been in this flow for months and it's been really good, and then you find yourself back in this dark place, or you feel as though it's back in this dark place. And a lot of that can be something that's discouraging, as you find yourself back in this other circumstance, or maybe you are thriving and you're, wanting to manifest abundance in your life, and you start to see it flowing in your life, and then you see it maybe shift into another direction that you don't feel is in alignment with what you want for yourself. So there are all these different moments in our lives where we feel as though there are situations that we've progressed in, and then we feel as though we've fallen back to some previous state of being that isn't as pleasant for us. And something I just want to bring up is that there's no such thing as backtracking. It's like saying that you're trying to go into the past. Everything is constantly shifting. Everything is constantly moving. There's no going back to any circumstance or any situation or any state of being. The motion that we're in is perpetually forward. And as we grow and as we change our ideas and mindsets and feelings and all this work that we're doing, as we just go through it. We don't even have to properly integrate all of it, but it's part of us. It's part of our experience. And whether you recognize the changes that it's making or not, it's making changes within you. And there's no going back to a previous circumstance. And as we do this work, as I said before, there are things that are going to come up. There are things that are going to come up in your experience, and they're not going to be very pleasant. But there are things that are keeping you, residual things that are within your, outside of your awareness, I'll say. And if you aren't aware of them, there's nothing that you can do with it. And it's not until you bring it to your awareness, or it's brought to your awareness through, unpleasant circumstances, that you realize, wow, I've been holding on to this and I didn't realize it. There's so many things that we don't realize that we're still holding on to, whether that's pain from the past or anger or frustration or stress. There are things that are just lingering within our presence and is keeping us from enjoying our life. And something that's so important to remember is that we don't have to experience stress in our lives. We don't have to experience pain and suffering in our lives. And so many people will put that as part of their paradigm. within how they're creating this life. And it's like, okay, pain and suffering is part of it. Yes, I can enjoy some happiness and some good times, but all of that is fading, and all of that is something that can't last forever. And just because a moment can't last forever, I mean, of course, a moment can't last forever, but in each moment, you can choose to have happiness. You can choose to have peace. And now, of course, there are things that are being held within our consciousness that are keeping us from that. Like, I'm not dismissing deep depression that's felt by many, many people. I felt it, and I know what that feels like. And I know that hearing the words, yes, you don't have to experience that sadness, you don't have to choose that in that way. It's not something that we want to hear. It's not something I wanted to hear. And if you're going through that experience, please listen to what is being told to you, and know that if it doesn't feel good for you, then dismiss it. And if those words don't feel good for you, then dismiss it. It doesn't matter whatever truth it may be, or whatever anyone believes is true. If it doesn't feel good for you, then don't listen to it. And I feel as though there are so many things in our lives where if we listen to what is within us, then we can find that truth of happiness that we want to find for ourselves. And so often, I mean, I know when I was going through the depression that I was going through, there were so many things outside of me that I wanted to change. I wanted to change all these things outside of me. And I realized that, I even moved. I moved across the country. And I thought that it was the place that I was at that was making me so depressed. And I moved across the country, and I was still very depressed. And I had to, I mean, that was a huge dawning on me. And not that many people have the circumstance or the situation or the opportunity to move to a different place if they're feeling like they're depressed or their environment is causing them depression. That's not something that's easily done. Yet when I did that, it sparked that realization in me that it wasn't my place, it wasn't the people around me, it was me. It was me. I was feeling depressed. I was wanting to see different circumstances in my life change. And as we realize that it's us that's feeling that, we are the ones that's feeling it, then we are also the ones that can change that and make a choice to want to change that. And it doesn't mean that it's going to happen overnight, but it means that we're making the choice for ourselves to change the feeling that we are feeling. And it's a process. It's the work. I mean, this is what this is all about. This is the work to move towards what we desire. But we have to tell ourselves and remind ourselves that we don't have to be suffering. We don't have to feel the pain and suffering that we commonly feel is just part of life, because that will be something that is just part of our paradigm. It's going to be it's going to be the lens that we look at the world through, and therefore that's all that's going to be reflected back to us. So we have to start shifting our beliefs, shifting these beliefs that we have, the beliefs that I'm not good enough, that I can't do this, I'm not supported, I'm not loved. We have to dismiss those beliefs because they are not true. They're just thoughts. They're just thoughts, and they can be changed. But we have to do that work to change them. And as we do that work, there are going to be things that come up, and other thoughts are going to come up, and they're going to seem like we're going backwards. But you are not going backwards, because you're bringing with you in that new moment, in that new state of depression, whatever you're going through in that moment, you're bringing with you new strengths. You're bringing with you a new idea that you're starting to implant, saying, I'm feeling this right now. I'm thinking these thoughts right now, but these aren't thoughts that I choose to believe are true. You can start bringing in these new concepts and these new ideas and these new things that you want to incorporate in your life to this new paradigm that you want to build for yourself. It is a process, but there's no backtracking. So don't feel bad on yourself if you feel as though you're in a place that you were before, or you feel like you were before, because that place is washed away. That place is no longer there. You are in a new place. You are a new person. Each and every moment, you are a new person. As long as you choose to move towards the things that you truly desire, then you will bring yourself more and more in alignment with what you want. But it's that motion towards that, and not letting these moments of realizations of things that you're still holding on to keep you from realizing that that's not you anymore. Those aren't beliefs that resonate with you anymore. Those aren't thoughts that resonate with you anymore. Notice them, acknowledge them, give them love. Thank you for showing me that I was still holding on to this belief that I wasn't good enough, because I know that I am. I know that I am. And even if I don't feel it right now, I'm not going to succumb to this belief. And as we do this work, if you notice that this feeling is coming up of unworthiness, then think that again, because it's letting you know that this feeling of unworthiness still dwells within you. So how do you bring yourself to feel that worthiness? As I spoke about in the episode about imagination, what does it feel like to be worthy? Imagine, what does that worthiness even look like? What does it look like to be loved and to be in a community of people? What does that feel like? Imagine it and feel it in that moment. And then when you feel it in that moment, you can tell yourself, see, I don't have to feel what I was just feeling, that lack of loneliness, because just within myself, just now, I created a feeling of love and acceptance. I felt it just now. I know it. I know it because I felt it. And even if my circumstances around me haven't changed, I felt it in that moment, and I know that in each and every moment that I feel that feeling again, I can conjure up another feeling within me. I can conjure up another thought within me. And I can bring myself to a place that's more in alignment with where I want to be. There's no such thing as backtracking. You're always bringing yourself new and important skills, new and important understandings. And these things that come up and they arise in your life and they don't seem pleasant, they are also telling you something that you're holding on to. Always know that you are moving forward. Always know that you are progressing forward. And these things that start to hurtle into your life, these things start to sweep into your life that you feel as though you've overcome, they are just other things that are reminding you, hey, you still have this little piece that needs to be dismissed. There's still this part that you're holding on to that's keeping you from the happiness that you want to feel in each and every moment. So again, give yourself kindness through this process. That is the most important thing. Give yourself love and kindness and forgiveness, because this process is something that is work, and it's something that it can be challenging, but at the same time incredibly beautiful as you start to love yourself and find that guidance from within, and start to take these things that arise in your life as new realizations that, okay, I'm still doing this work. Because sometimes we can fly high and we can keep going and feel as though we don't have to worry about a thing in the world. And that's an amazing feeling. But if we're holding on to something, then it's going to bring itself into our awareness. And also know when it's ready to come into your awareness, when you are ready to handle that. When you have the strength to handle that new depths of sadness or new depth of understanding, when you're ready to handle that, then it's going to come into your life. So also know when these new, deep, life-changing things start to pop into your life. Know that they are things that are coming up because you're ready to take care of them. You're ready to handle them. And it may seem overwhelming. You may seem like as if it's too much for you to handle. But in these moments of stress, in these moments of really heightened energy, as we navigate through that, we find ourselves on the other end of it stronger than ever. And again, there's no going backwards. So that's all I really had for this episode. Just a reminder of this process. It's constant. It's something that we're constantly doing. And to give yourself love and patience and kindness and acceptance and appreciation for everything that you do, for being you. And always feel comfortable being yourself. And even that takes some work. But you are amazing just the way you are. And you are so important and part of all of this. You could have been born any time, in any year, in any place, in any country in the world, or, and you were born where you were in this time. And that's something so important, because you're around the people that you're around, you're influencing the people that you're influencing, and it's doing something important. Every smile you exchange is so important for the growth of who we are as people. So love yourself. I love you. Always be well. And yeah, that's all I really have. So if you have anything that you'd like to share, you can send that to everything.sunpodcast@gmail.com. You can join any of the social media groups: Instagram, everything.sunpodcast, Twitter at everysunpodcast, and the Facebook group at everysunpodcast as well. And yeah, that's all I got. I love you all so much, and I'll talk to you soon.